Hi, everybody. Welcome to CastAways, where we share the stories from the people that make the magic. If you've been to our channel and you've seen this show before, welcome back. Always happy to have you. If you haven't, if you're new, I'm Stephanie. I'm the host, and I am a former cast member myself. And today we have a wonderful guest that I am so thrilled to introduce to you guys. Somebody that I've actually worked with at Disney before. It's Amy.
Hi, how are you?
Hi. She is truly the fairest of them all. So, Amy, tell me tell me a little bit about yourself. Let's start from the beginning. You're a kid growing up. Or are you a Disney lover as a child? Tell me a little bit about your family and your background.
Yeah, actually, so I was born and raised in Las Vegas, and my parents would take my brother and I to Disneyland in Anaheim all the time. They'd pull us out of school to go. Like, it was a big part of our life. So definitely a Disney kid.
Did you have a favorite character? Was Snow White your favorite princess from a very young age?
It actually wasn't. I was Ariel obsessed for the longest
Oh,
time. Like, he was
yes.
my absolute, oh my God, absolute favorite. So actually, I got that video when I was, that movie came out when I was 9. And I was
Mhm.
sick with the flu, and my mom surprised me with it. And so, and so we watched it like over and over and over again that whole time. And like, she just became my favorite princess. So,
Oh my goodness. Well, you obviously have a certain look. Like, did people kind of stop you when you were a teenager and come up to you and say, you look like her? Do you look like Snow White?
No, I've actually been doing TV shows and movies since I was 4. I've had my agent since I was 4, so
Oh,
I've been
wow.
doing a bunch of stuff. My parents put me to work very early, so it was just
Yeah.
one of those situations. One of those
Well, that's
situations.
true. That's
Um,
true. Because you grew up
yeah.
in Vegas, but tell me about give give the audience a little background about your dad and what business he was in.
So we have a family business where we build cars and props for TV shows and movies, and that just kind of led into me. I'm most at home on a stage. I love performing. I love being in front of the camera.
Definitely.
I'm a little loud, but I'm either way. But so it just kind of went hand in hand, and then it just
Mhm.
started becoming like my profession. So it went throughout from
Mm,
like my childhood and my teenage years, and then it went into obviously Disney. So I
yes.
ended up at the Magic Kingdom.
How okay, so before you ended up to the Magic Kingdom, I know
Yes.
something about your family. I know you guys enjoyed a good Disney cruise growing up, right?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, well, okay. So we started cruising with DCL when I was 18. We went Our first cruise was my 18th birthday on the Disney Wonder.
Oh,
And so it just kind of kept going. Like it was we did one and it was over with because as you know, we went on one together, you and I.
yes.
And I
We
I
did
made you go.
back in the day, yes.
But
Exactly.
I But after the first one, we were just like hooked because Disney
Mm,
Cruise Line's the best of the best. You know that. So
you can't get better.
I'm not
Well, they
partial.
do.
Yeah.
Not partial at all. No, they do. I mean, everything. Yes, I've been on Royal Caribbean. They were wonderful. They
Oh, yeah.
really did an awesome job, and they had some really
Mhm.
interesting restaurant options and things like that. But just the all-inclusive nature, and I just felt like with Disney, everything was there was always something to do. There was something, I was
Yes.
missing out on to choose this one thing over here. I'd miss out on the other thing over here, you know. So, but there but Disney does it all so perfectly, and it really is a fantastic idea. If you can go on Disney cruise, highly recommend it, obviously.
You did
But
every morning when I would come downstairs, like around noon. Well, morning, noon. That's morning for me. Either way, you already had been up for like 5 hours. You're like, I went snorkeling,
hours,
and I
yes,
was, I was like,
yes,
how do
absolutely.
you do
Take the kids around the boat already 5 times, and you've not even gone out. But that's okay. So Disney Cruise Line, fell in love with it. Were you ever
Yes.
interested in working for Disney Cruise Line?
Well, so actually how this started was we got off the ship, we'd gone a couple times, and then I was like, no, I really do want to work for Disney because it's a great company. It's an absolute amazing company. And so we ended up finding a Disney Cruise Line audition for face characters in
Okay.
Phoenix, and I got hired with Disney Cruise Line first. So,
Oh,
and a month
really?
before, Yes, and a month before I was supposed to sign my contract, they because when you train for Disney Cruise Line now, well, that was how it used to be in the tape, but you go to Toronto for 2 months, and
Okay.
that's where their training facility is for characters for the stage shows and everything else like that. So a month before I was supposed to sign my contract to get my date for Toronto, they switched me to Walt Disney World. So that's how I ended up in the
What?
parks. I didn't make it on the
They
ship,
switched
so
you? They
they
switched
switched.
you that you didn't even get a
Mhm.
shot? Oh my goodness. Okay, so what year was this? Was this
2004.
2004? Okay.
2004.
So this was before like really anything posted on the internet. How did you find this casting call?
You go to the DCL or Disney auditions.com when we had Disney
Okay.
auditions. Now it's
Okay.
all their auditions, and I know I'm sure you're familiar with the process now, but you do your audition pretty much online, which is
Oh,
weird. And then they
wow.
call you in afterwards. So it's just kind of
Okay.
it's a different time. Obviously,
Yeah, probably
obviously.
COVID may have had a lot to do with that too.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. But I think
but-
it just worked for them after that because then they could see everybody
Mhm.
before, like I
That
said,
makes
we
sense.
traveled, like to
Yeah.
go, my parents and I.
Yeah,
So
that's a big deal.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Was it you and your mom or
No, mom and dad, they both went. Yeah.
mom and dad? Okay.
And stood in the window and watched me audition. Like
Mhm.
I was in a room of
Oh,
400
that's
girls. I
sweet
was
though.
I was one of two
What?
picked. Yes.
No
So
way.
I
400?
will say yes, and I will say that's a very big honor. Obviously, it's a huge honor
Wow.
to get the job that we have.
Yes.
So
No,
yes.
absolutely. I definitely felt
So
very humbled and very like just blessed because I'm like I don't know how that happened. I don't know how in a million years I got picked, but well, I didn't have 400 girls. I'm like, what in the world?
it was a face character audition.
That's a lot. That's a lot. So, okay, so you did not actually apply then for a position at Disney World. They switched
No.
you, even though
Yes.
Disney Cruise Line would have been kind of your dream job, which kind of
And that's where I
stinks.
wanted to be. Like I said, the casting director for Cruise Line, who I'd been dealing with, he called me and he goes, "I'm just going to tell you what's going to happen. We're gonna talk for a minute. We're gonna hang the phone up, and then the casting director from Disney World's going to call you." And I was like, "No, no, no, no,
Wow.
no," because I wanted the job on the ship. Like I wanted to work on the
Yeah.
ship. And so he's like, my hands are tied. They have more seniority than me." And he goes, "Your picture was on my desk. They saw you. They just took you from me." That's that's how it went.
Mm.
So,
So
and I was like,
we're gonna get
"Okay."
into that because I do feel like
Okay.
I know, I do feel like that you were kind of, like you said, handpicked to
Yeah.
be the representation of Snow White and in
Well,
print and video and all of that.
Well, with that situation, okay, they turned around and she called me right after I got off the phone with him, and they gave me the date I needed to be at the Animal Kingdoms, the building
Yes.
on
Yep.
Sherburne.
Yep.
Okay. Okay. And I went to go walk into the building that night, and they were standing at the door waiting for me. "Hi, Amy, how are you?" They're waiting.
Wow.
It was
Hmm.
Tammy and Bill, and it was somebody else, but they were waiting.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
it
And
was arranged.
tell
Yeah.
everybody who Tammy was.
Tammy Terrace is amazing, and she is now. I'm sure. I think she's still the head casting director for Walt Disney World.
Oh,
She
wow.
was the original. Yeah, I'm pretty sure because that's when I left. That's where what she was doing. But I don't know because I haven't spoken to her in a while. But she was the Snow White that she actually took over for Joanne. We have to bring Joanne into this at some
Joanne.
point.
Yep.
Joanne, who
Joanne,
was the
who?
original Snow, yeah, who opened the parks, Joanne,
Correct.
and
Hmm.
then Tammy took over for Joanne. And then
Hmm.
what I was told that day at auditions, whatever, we were standing in the back costuming room and they said, "Yeah, we're trying to get Tammy back in the dress." And she goes, "Nope, Amy's here now. She's going to take over for me." It's
Yep.
exactly what she said to me. And the weirdest
Hmm.
part is Joanne, Tammy, and I all have the same face. we all
Okay.
we all have the same face. We all have the same haircut. It's just weird. Yeah.
No, so I agree with you because I have
Mhm.
heard since subsequently since working at Disney
Mhm.
that they don't necessarily take girls that look like the character that look I
Mhm.
mean like the drawing because Snow White it's a little hard to yeah that's a good picture it's a little hard to exactly define right so what they do is they try to match girls that have a similar look to each other.
Yes.
And I have
Yes.
heard that, and that makes complete sense that you say that now. So,
But Joanne was only snow.
mhm.
Tammy was only snow. And then when I
Mhm.
walked in, they said, "Oh, what did you get?" And I said, "Just snow." And they said, "You're going to go far because the more you look like your character, the farther they push you." Because
Oh,
normally, and you
that's
know this,
interesting.
most girls are like three characters. Like
Yes.
yes, my other friend was Cinderella, Ariel, and Snow, and those were
Yes.
random. Like none of them look alike, but she was all three. You know what I mean? It was
Mhm.
you don't
Yeah.
get just one unless you look dead on. So that's
Mm.
you know.
That's yeah, and you did. And look at that. That's a perfect example right there. Amazing. So amazing. Okay, so you get the call, you get told, Walt Disney World. Okay. So now what do you do? Do you move to Florida? What were your thoughts there?
So everything kind of changed because I was supposed to be working on the ship.
Mhm.
So my parents had no like if they were going to come visit me, they were going to come on the ship. But now that I had to like live in Orlando, we ended up having to get someplace to live. So I ended up we got a house in Celebration right outside the gates of Walt Disney World. Like, so
That's
it was
right.
close to work every day, and that way they had a place to come in and stay while I was working, and they came
Mhm.
all the time to come visit me. They stood there for hours and videotaped me and took pictures, and we have
So
hours of
sweet.
footage. But it's just it's just funny. But
Yeah.
yeah.
No, it's
But so that's why. So
sweet.
it went
It's
from yeah,
yeah.
it went from
So
living
you
on
were
the ship to living on land. Yeah,
living on land and living inside the magic at Celebration because that was
inside the
Disney's
magic.
first. Yeah, well, it really was because it was like Disney developed that neighborhood, right? So that
Mhm.
it was like you can live. Now they have Golden Oak, which is actually inside of the Walt Disney World
Inside of
property,
yeah, by absolutely, yeah.
but Celebration was the original. So
Oh, yeah.
and yeah, on beautiful homes. Like I'm sure
Mhm.
it was a
My
good time.
house, every night at 9 o'clock, I didn't even have to look, like, what time it was because my windows would rattle from the Epcot fireworks. Like, I knew what time it was
Exactly.
without even looking, and I was like, "Oh, it's 9?" Like, every single time, like,
You knew for
I
sure.
knew.
So,
Yeah.
it's like in Mary Poppins when they set, Admiral Boom and they're like, "Okay, everyone get a hold of something. Everything's gonna rattle."
Yes.
So but you were signed on, you were a full-time employee, correct?
They said, "Full-time or nothing," is what I got.
Oh,
I didn't even get an option.
didn't get
That
an
was it.
option. Okay.
Yeah.
So as a
It
full-time
sounds like a good
employee
idea. No, no, no. It sounds like a good idea until you don't get days off, and then
True.
and then
I hope you
Nick
get
is a tough
overtime.
boss. Yeah,
He is.
I guess.
He can
Yeah.
be. And of course back then, so we're talking 2004, 2005. We're talking like the transition from Michael Eisner to Bob Iger. And to be
Okay.
honest with you, I really loved I loved working under Michael Eisner, and Bob Iger didn't really have he kind of just continued what Eisner had already set into place. So for me, I was
Mhm.
seasonal cast. I wasn't in full time, but I worked full time hours during my seasonal stints. I got to do so much because it was like almost around the clock. There was always some kind of after hours event, or there was a
Oh, yeah,
private
yeah.
party,
So
or
after hours
you
stuff
know
and stuff like that.
yes. So when you were full time, did you get to set your
No.
pick of where you're going to work? They still just kind of randomly put you
I
places?
I was I was bid at Epcot for
Okay.
from, like, Thursday to Sunday every week, Wednesday,
Mhm.
Thursday, sometimes or whatever, and then I would do 2 days at Magic Kingdom. Not one. Like,
Okay.
it wasn't but they
Wait.
kept moving me. And
Yeah.
I kept telling them, "Just leave me at Epcot and I'll be fine." Because I would complain every time they did it, and they're like, "No, we want you here." Like they would just, and I was just like, "I just need,
Mhm.
I want to be in Germany. I want to be in Akershus. Leave me alone."
Yes.
Like you know,
Yeah.
like let me eat my breakfast.
Yes. So tell me about
Yeah.
that because you would start at the breakfast, but then you would also do what we call sets, correct? Where it's the
Wait, we
classic
have to
meet
go
and greet.
back. We have to go back
Okay. Okay, go back.
because you've missed like a whole chunk of this. So I got my job. We did traditions. We met. That's how we met
Yes.
because we were in the same traditions class. And Mary Poppins, there you are.
Yeah. Yeah.
There you are.
Here we are.
That was our first day that we were out on the floor together. We did our Toontown sets together.
Mhm.
But it was just,
Back
it
when
was
the Toontown.
so, yeah. it was just so neat because 20 years later, here we are. Like we're
I
still here together.
Okay, so if we're going back this far, we're going to talk about that too. So with the
Okay.
face character, we're talking about face characters. You are mainly that,
Yes.
on your schedule, but you can also at random
And
times be put into
fur,
uh-huh,
fur,
and
which I
and that
never
is
was.
and that is based off of height. And so we're both, I think we're both 5'6", are we not? Are you five
We're
seven?
princess height.
Princess
We
height.
are on the Disney scale. That's what they call us. We are princess height, which is 5'4". I was 5'4" and a half, just so you know.
Oh, okay.
I'm
Okay.
I'm actually 5'5" in real life, but if on the Disney height schedule, like scale, I am 5'4" and a half. That's how
Mhm.
they classified me. Either way, so it's like 5'4" to 5'7", right?
Okay.
Princess height
I
is.
think
I'm pretty sure.
so.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I think so. And so
Mm,
based off of that, you have different
yes.
characters that you meet. I will never forget us we were doing so they want you to be able to have stamina when you're in certain
Yeah.
costumes that might be really hot outside, and no, they do not contain fans, right? So so I got selected for an all fur one, and you and I were inside this building with all the rest of the characters that were,
All of them. I remember that day. Yeah.
you remember this day. You got selected for, do you remember which one you were selected for?
Mr.
That they pulled.
Shmee.
That's it, Mr.
Mr.
Smee. And
Shmee.
Mr. Smee only
Yes.
has he has the head, but he doesn't have like a full fur body,
No, it's like,
right?
yeah, it's like the hoops and whatever is it. But the fact is
Mhm.
the head was like a scuba helmet. It's not
Yes.
a normal head. Normal heads have like a little bit of air coming up underneath. You know what I mean? And this was like a
Yeah.
scuba helmet. Thank God, like I'm not crazy claustrophobic. But all I remember is they put the head on me and I was like,
You were like, "No,
like,
I remember you doing this. I remember you sitting down,
I was
actually. They want you up and running around."
I just felt like I couldn't
Yes.
breathe. And I was just like, what is this? I will tell you, and I think people underestimate the fur characters of like whatever.
Mhm.
I think they have the hardest job
Yeah.
because us as face characters, we can talk to people. We're not boiling
Yes.
hot. We're in pretty dresses. You know
Mhm.
what I mean?
Mhm.
Those characters, everybody needs to like appreciate
Yeah.
them for standing for as long
100%.
as they do. Oh my God.
100%.
Like,
Especially at those
yeah.
restaurants where they're moving. I mean, outdoors is one thing, because 'cause you're, like, sweating. It's
It's
just a
boiling. Yeah.
sauna.
It's just
It's a
like,
sauna. But at the restaurants, you're having to maneuver through different areas, and you could potentially step on a child or, hit a chair or something
so
like
you
that
can't
because you
see.
just can't
You
a
can't
lot of times
see.
you can't.
Yeah.
Your peripheral vision is blocked a lot of times. So, but yeah, so you had
Mhm.
some appreciation for those of us who
Oh my God.
continued with the fur.
Complete
Yeah.
completely. They have a 10 times harder job than us. And that was like the last time I was ever in fur. They just
Yeah.
wanted me to train because
I
obviously I
believe
walked
that.
in and they were like, "Oh, we're gonna have a problem with this one." You could
Yeah.
see it. And then they realized that I was like appreciative that I had my job. Like I didn't care. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? Like I wasn't mean. You
Yes.
know what I mean?
No, no,
Like,
absolutely not.
no,
So, but
ever,
you were
never.
But as a full-time
Yeah.
employee, like you were talking about putting in a bid, that means that you kind of had seniority in a sense to where you could kind of get your first pick if you wanted,
Mhm.
but then they still would add you to other things. What other things did you do? Very good friends of Snow.
CRT, yeah,
Okay.
CRT, which is I'm Disney speaking, but Cinderella's Royal Table. So, and I didn't want to do that, but they made me. It was one of those situations because you had to have, well, I was full time, so they had to fill my time with something. And
Yes.
so they put me over Magic Kingdom, and I would go. This is way back in the day, I remember. So anybody who was at Disney World, like early 2000s, whatever, we had a shift change book. I don't know how the world works now over there, but I'm sure it's all computer, like everything else. But
Probably.
you'd have an actual like big, huge binder with like flippy
Hmm.
pages, okay, and you could like put your shifts in there so everybody would take. And I would literally get my schedule, walk over, and every CRT shift I had. And it got to the point where the
Hmm.
manager's like, "What are you doing? You can't do that." I'm like, "Yes, I can. I'm in Epcot, and just leave me alone." Like, but it
Yes.
didn't stop there because they had. I didn't know this whilst all this was going on, but they had other plans for me. Like, and that was what the
Hmm.
problem was. Like, I walked into Epcot one morning to check in for my Epcot shift,
Okay.
and they gave me the new schedule, and I had training on my schedule.
Oh.
And I
Uh-huh.
was fantastic. Again, Disney speaking, sorry. So,
Yeah.
and I had that, and I turned around and I walked over to the guy who was like, who checks in at the check-in desk. Again, I don't even know if this is the same procedure. I'm sure it's not. You know what I mean? I'm sure they've
Yeah.
updated things. But I walked over and I said, "What does this mean?" And he goes, "Oh my God, you're getting trained for Fant." And I went, "I don't want this. So how do I get this off of there?" And
You're
he
the
looks at
only
me.
person I know that would
Oh yeah.
say that
Well,
too.
I got read. You have no idea. And he goes, "Are you kidding? There are people that have been here for 5 years that can't even get
Yep.
their foot in the door." And I said, "Well, I didn't
Yeah.
ask for this. Like, leave me at Epcot and leave me alone." Like I didn't understand what was going on. I didn't get it. Like,
Well, you had Tammy in your corner. Tammy
yeah.
was your trainer, but Tammy was also, like you said, very high up with the business
Mhm.
and with the company. And so she really was, I think, kind of one of the more influential people that pushed you towards more of these positions that would be, kind of global, if you will, as they used to call it, where you're at different locations.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, I mean, there. Just so we understand, like, by the time I left, I was trained at everything Snow White could do at Walt Disney World. There was not one thing she did that I did not do.
Hmm.
Like, I was in every stage
Yeah.
show, I was in every parade. Like, I was going on a cruise for Halloween,
Yeah.
which we do every year. They said, if you can't be here for all 30 days, do not sign up for this. So I intentionally didn't do it. I
Mm-hmm.
came in like 2 days later, it's on my schedule. And I walked up
Yeah.
to the desk. I said, "I'm going on a cruise on Halloween." They said, "You shouldn't have signed up." I said, "I
I
didn't."
didn't.
And
I
they
just showed
go,
up.
yeah, and they go, "We'll take care of it." And I had to do
Mm,
all the days up until the 2 I was gonna be gone for
mhm.
the Halloween, and it's just you're just like, "What are you
Wow.
doing?" Or it's like, Cinderellabration. I
Mhm.
intentionally I didn't wanna do a stage show because you were stuck over at Magic Kingdom, and at that point, they were building the apartment in the castle. So
Oh,
anybody that
okay.
was in the show
Mhm.
for the castle stage, you had to get dressed in the hallway. They had
Oh,
racks of
no.
clothes in the hallway, costumes. And so I was like, I no. I mean, I don't want to dance. I don't sing. I walk, I wave, I sign, I wave. You know what I mean? That's my life. That's what I do. Okay, like that's what I do.
Right.
Give me my float. I earned that float for Christmas. Like I'm just gonna I'll tell you
Okay,
because I walked all the way through Halloween. Okay, and so I earned that
yes,
float for Christmas.
that's
Like,
right. You earned your ride. But the first
yeah,
picture that we showed, that was from Disney Stars and Motor Cars over at
yes,
Hollywood Studios. I also
yes.
did that parade. I enjoyed that parade.
Yay.
But yeah, so Snow had her own
Car.
car there, beautiful mirror back behind her.
That
Was
was
there
can we
anything
do
about that parade that you remember?
yes, can we do a fun fact with that one? And no one will understand
Yeah.
this. Okay. That parade is like 3 minutes and something long, okay? I don't even know. You would know better, obviously, because you know all the statistics. There are no points during that parade where there aren't guests on the side of you. So for the
That's
3
correct.
minutes and whatever long it is this.
All the time.
Your mouth and face hurt so bad
Mhm.
by the time you get off of that. I mean, it hurts. And then if you
Mhm.
drop your smile, they yell at you
Oh,
when
no?
you get off the float. So that was the only bad thing about that parade. It was great. It's a great parade. She's got a beautiful
Mhm.
car.
It
You
was
know what I
really
mean? But it's
it
just
was
one of those things where
beautiful.
it
Mhm.
hurts. Like that's one of those because
Mhm.
even at Magic Kingdom, you have times like when you're over by like Liberty Square where there's no guest and you have a minute to just go woof. You know what I mean? But
Yeah, take a breath.
that is not the same situation.
Mhm.
There's no downtime during that
Mm.
parade.
Mhm. Yep.
So
Yeah,
good
and I
stuff.
remember it being pretty hot too. I mean, as compared to, like, Magic Kingdom. I don't know why, like, I don't know if it was the cars or what radiating heat off of the ground, but
I wasn't over there much because I wasn't at studios. It's not my favorite park. You know this. I've
yeah.
told you a million times. It's not my favorite park. It isn't. Like I don't even go and like hang out there like when I'm a guest.
Mhm. I
But
made you go last time. Yeah.
well, yes, that's okay. I'll go for
Right,
you.
right, sneaky dog.
No.
Yes.
But it's just one of those things. So I had that was like a fill-in day because the snow that was supposed to be
Mhm.
there wasn't. So that's how
Okay,
I got it. And the only other time I was
okay.
over there was Fant training, but that was at like 3 in the
Yes.
morning.
Yes.
So for like a
Yes,
week.
so you had crazy hours as well. Now, you were also in the Halloween Boo to You
Yes.
parade, and then,
Mhm.
like you said, you walked the entire parade there, and this one was, I think, the 2004 parade that we're watching here. It is
Yes.
different than how they have it now because now Snow does still walk, but they do like a little choreography, dance to it, but I think were you just kind of doing your
Oh, yeah, we were just walking and
the
waving. Yeah,
waving,
at that
yeah,
point, me
kind of
and
thing.
Dopey. Yeah, and then
Yeah.
that was it. We were that year there we are.
Yeah,
But
they
we were
are.
that year, my costume, because all of us, had costumes, all of us characters did. I was fall.
Okay.
So I
Okay.
had a masquerade mask with leaves on it, and I was like,
Mhm.
"Okay." And then Dopey had his,
Mhm.
like, jeweled mask on, so that was our
Yes.
those were our costumes.
Very cute, very cute. And then for Christmas, you were majority of the time on the float, correct?
I was
You
the
didn't
whole
have to
time.
walk the whole
No,
time.
I was
Okay.
the whole time. That was like a
Okay.
month and a half
of wow.
of
So you
whatever, because
did
it was
every
November.
single one of those parties, every single one of the parades?
Every one of them. Well, one time my friend who was also a snow, she asked me, she goes, "Can you not come in on Wednesday?" and I said, yes, because my family's in town and I really want to do this. I said, "Yeah, tell me
Uh,
when." So I called out and she just happened to be standing at the desk when I
oh,
called out. Like
of
we
course.
coordinated that because that's something really
That was
cool. You
sweet
know what
of
I
you.
mean?
Yeah. Mhm.
I'm more than happy to have a day off. I was so tired. No idea. It was like a month straight, like tired.
So would you
Tired.
do your regular sets over at Germany and at Epcot and then still have to do the parade after that?
No, we were just doing Christmas. I was Christmas,
Okay.
so I was Magic Kingdom the whole time.
Okay.
So it's just
That's good.
that was a long time. I just remember like Christmas. Halloween was my favorite. Halloween was my favorite holiday, but so it
Mhm.
was great. And we used to come into town as guests, like before I even worked there, and go to the Halloween parties.
So when you left in 2006, were
Mhm.
you still doing the same, sets and all the things that you had been doing, or had they kind of tried to transition you? I remember you saying that you did some promos at one point for some
Yeah,
of
they
these.
did it for like we did some of the filmings for Christmas, and then anytime they needed like special events, I was doing all of those. I walked in one day and they were like, "You're going
Okay.
to Naples." And I'm like, "I'm going to Naples, like Florida, not like whatever." But so not
Wow.
Italy. They're
Excuse me.
taking you're going to Italy. No, it's fine. I was like, "Thank you,
That'd be
Mickey."
cool. Yes.
No, we went to Naples, Florida, which I hadn't been. So that was cool because I never got out of the Orlando bubble. You know what I mean? So it was cool to see
Right.
like different things. But
Mhm.
yeah, and we
Well,
just did
that's really
like
cool.
yeah, the special events and stuff and like or like the overnight parties, stuff like that. If they had like
Mhm.
anybody had rented the park out, I was the one they picked. Like so and I'm grateful, you know what I mean? That they saw that. So
Mhm. Yeah. So
mhm.
what made you decide, okay, were you kind of just like I'm done with this, or like were you trying to transition to a different area? Like what made you decide to say, okay, I'm not going to do this anymore?
I was really tired because I had worked when I was there. I mean, I was literally working like 24 hours a day. I'm not even lying. Like I at one
Yeah.
point called
It's
global
a lot.
scheduling. Yeah, I called global scheduling and I was like, I am full time, but you guys need to down my hours. And the lady on the other end of the phone, I will never forget it. She said to me, "You don't tell us when you work," and hung the phone up on me. And that's exactly
Oh,
how I got fired.
wow.
And that's when I
Oh,
went and
man.
talked to Tim. Like that's when that was,
Uh-huh.
and she fixed a lot of stuff. Like it was just one of those things. But she's like, just hang in there. Like, but she had gone through
Mhm.
all of it because she was when I walked
Yes.
in. She said there's still. She was doing she had done the commercials for Disneyland Paris. And it was like
Oh, okay.
10 years, 8, 10 years, something after that, that
Mhm.
like when
Yeah.
I met her and they were still running her commercial loved the way that
Oh,
she looked. So
wow.
that's why she
Oh,
said to me, she's
wow.
like, just hang in there. And she just kept doing it to
Mhm.
me. And I was like, oh, because she knew where it was going. And that's why. And I did. I
Yeah.
got so many opportunities through them. It was amazing.
Mhm. Did
So
you ever ask to transition back to Disney Cruise Line? Were you ever
yeah.
like, "Okay, that was my original idea, my original thought, I thought I was gonna be able to do this," and
Yeah.
what did you find whenever they told
They
when they
kept
told you?
telling me they kept telling me, "You have to give us, like, completely quit the company and, like, give up this idea." I said, "Okay." Like, and I turned around, and the minute I said
Yep.
that, they were like, "No, no, no." Like, they thought I wasn't gonna do it, and I was like, "No." I said, "I just wanna be on the ship, I just wanna," and they were just like, "No, no."
Yes.
And so, it ended up that, like, you had to, because 'cause we're the same company, but we're not, okay, if you wanna get, like,
Yes.
technical. So, yeah, because that's
Mhm.
Walt Disney Entertainment, and this is Walt Disney World,
Mhm.
so there's too. And
Mm,
so you have to quit one to get transitioned to the other. And at that point, like I was like, okay, I'll give it a, whatever, I don't really care. And they were just like, no, no, because they didn't want me to leave. They were like bluffing,
right.
you know what I mean? And I was tired at
Yeah.
that point. So I'm just like, no,
Mhm.
we're good. And I had a lot of stuff going on at home in Vegas that I just needed to be home anyway. So I left
Yeah.
and I'm okay with that. And they said when I left, if you want to come back, and I said, no, I'm good. they said, and they said, no, even if you want to come back as like a character trainer. And I said, no, I'm okay, but we'll see what's going on. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's whatever. But even then, like, I don't, and you know that, like, we've talked about it when we're standing at the parks. We watch the characters, but I tend to not try and bother them and get in their
Yeah.
orbit because, like, even now, and I know it sounds crazy, like, my normal hair is is a short black bob, so I look like Snow
Uh-huh.
White in and out of my costume, like in normal clothes and whatever.
Mhm.
So I'll be walking through the parks and I get called out. Oh, hey, I took a picture with you on Monday, and I'm like, no, you did not. Like, I get people all the time, even to this ask me all the time.
Mhm.
And that was one of their beefs with Cruise Line. The casting director
Mhm.
for Cruise Line was like, I can't have you in the atrium and then the next morning walking
Mhm.
through in a pair of jeans. They're gonna know. I've had people
Mm,
follow me
mhm.
to bathrooms, follow me into the bars on the
Yes.
ship, and they're like, you work
Oh,
here. And I said, no,
wow.
I'm not. Like it's just crazy. But then it doesn't. I know like a million people that work on the ships because we've been sailing forever, and it's hard to deny
Mhm.
it. Like I worked for them
Yes.
because everyone's like, "Hey, Amy, what's going on?" Like
You can see
everybody's
it.
yelling at me in the
Yes.
hallways, and they're like, "Yes, you do.
Yeah,
You
they know
work here."
you.
And it's like, no, I don't.
Well,
Like,
I have heard that before about there being that differentiation between the 2 companies, and so
mhm.
if one person wants to transition to the other, you do lose seniority, and a lot of times they say, "Well, that's not worth it." I
Yeah.
can't do it now because it's not worth it to start over. What maybe it was
Mhm.
the Halloween, maybe it was the Christmas parade, but you told me a story one time about the driver. A lot of people don't realize there's people driving the floats, right?
Yes. Yes. So when it
So
was
tell
Christmas,
that story.
yeah, it was because I walked during Halloween. So Christmas when I got my
Okay.
floats, um, I was on the front steps of like what is to be her cottage. That's like the big deal.
Okay.
So the float driver sits in the door. There's like a little like window in the door. And that's what he looks out of, like to whatever. So we'd be going down Main Street and I'd be waving, and he's like, "Don't wave at them. You don't know them. Don't wave at them. Why are you that was the best. Like that was absolutely the best. But we had a problem, I guess. Yeah, right behind. He's right behind my where I'm waving. Like that's that's where he is. But so at one point, I guess he and because the dwarves were doing a dance routine in front of my float. Okay, and I guess he and Dopey for some weird reason got into some kind of beef before parade that night. I don't know what happened. I don't even know. I was bungeed into that house because I'm sitting on a
Yeah.
moving float. So they bungee me
Platform, yeah.
around my yeah, they bungee me around my waist and I couldn't really move off the stair. So I'm just like whatever.
Mhm.
So all of a sudden Dopey would like they're dancing. I remember it like it was yesterday because it freaked me out. But they're dancing and doing whatever, and all of a sudden he turns around and looks at me like this and goes, with his gloves, just like that, because the float driver like nipped the back of his shoe because he was mad at him.
Oh.
And I turned around. I don't know what possessed me. To this day, like I say that, I stood up, tried to grab Dopey. I don't know why. Like I don't know. I don't know. And the bungee cord threw me into the door because
Oh,
anybody that has
no.
anybody that was at the parade that night is gonna be like, what is going on? Like the managers didn't even ask. Who didn't see
Mhm.
that? Like, I don't understand. But we got off parade route that night and they were screaming at each other. And I'm like, what was that big of a deal? You almost killed Dopey. Like, why are we doing this right now?
Don't kill Dopey.
Like, it's
Please don't kill
Christmas.
Dopey.
Things are
So
nothing.
that's very true. I mean, you're okay. Working for Disney can be very magical. Obviously, we enjoyed our time there and that kind of thing. But it's a big company, and it's a company full of people, and people have their own, agendas and their own personalities. And so there was something that you told me one time about there used to be I want to say it's a cast survey. Was that what it was?
Yeah.
That
So when we first started, I'm sure you had to have done it too because it was the exact same time when I had just started. Do you remember any of that? No, I don't know. I was in break
I
room
don't
one day.
remember. Okay.
Okay, it was going around, and they were like trying to push everybody into doing it. And they're like, it's a cast survey, it's not a big deal. Just fill it out. We just want to, because you guys are on the floor every day. We want to know what's going on. And so I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing it. Because it was voluntary. You didn't have to do it. So I'm just like,
Yeah.
no, you know what I mean? So I turned around, whatever. I'm getting dressed one night. I don't even know, because I was there at night. So it had to have been for some parade. I don't remember what it
Okay.
was. But I'm sitting in the break room, and some lady walks in who I've never seen ever. She's got her little Disney tag on. She's like, "Hi, Amy, how are you?" I said, "I'm good." Like, what is going on? You know what I mean? Like, that's never good
Who
when
are
they
you?
come in, they know your name, like ever. And so I said, "I'm good. How are you?" And she's like, "I'm good." And she goes, "Well, I just kind of wanted to check in because we've noticed that you didn't do your cast survey, and it is voluntary. And I just want to let you know it'll be completely anonymous. We just kind of want to hear your thoughts and what's going on or whatever." And blah, blah. And I looked at her and I said, "Can I ask you a question?" And she goes, "Yeah." And I go, "If it's anonymous, how do you know I didn't do it?" And she just looked at me. And I
Point.
go, and I go,
Yeah.
"I'm not doing that. But thank
Yeah.
you." Because that's how they catch you. Like, you know what I mean? Because they're like, "You said
Mm.
this on Thursday at 2:14," and they know,
Mhm.
because you know how they are. Like,
'Cause
they're
you
just,
wrote it. Mhm.
yeah. So I'm like, "No, I'm
Mhm.
good. But thank you."
Was there
So
was there anything that was, like, a negative point about working for a big company like that? Like, was this,
there's
like, your first really big job at a large
it
company
was
that
like
you've ever had? I
was
mean, you were
like
young.
my first real job. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, 'cause when I
Yeah.
the only other stuff I would ever do were like, like I said, like TV shows, movies, stuff like that. It's different being on set and on a film set than being,
Yeah.
on stage at Disney World. It's a big difference. But
Yeah.
so I would say this is probably like like a normal real job, but it wasn't a
Mhm.
real job because I was Snow White every day. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it wasn't a
Very good
normal job.
friends. Very good friends.
I at
Yes.
one point I was and I'll just tell you so you understand this. But I did the princess breakfast every morning in Germany. That was like
Mhm.
my thing.
Mhm.
And I would call my mom like on my breaks and stuff like that every day. And I at one point said to her,
Aw.
because I was the first one that went out during princess breakfast. Snow White's the original. Snow White's the first one that goes out for
Yep.
breakfast, right? So I
Okay.
would go to the tables and I was like, "Good morning, how are you?" Whatever. And I'd start my thing. And in my head, I was doing my spiel, but in my head, I'm going, "I am interrupting their meal." Like, I was just flipping out. And I told my mom that, and she goes, "Amy, they paid to
Oh.
see you. They want you
Uh-huh.
at their table." You know what I mean? And I was just
Yes.
like, "Yes, but I'm bothering them." She goes, "No, you're not." Like, I
Yeah.
was just like, I couldn't wrap my head around it. Towards the end, I was fine because it just
Yeah.
becomes like normalcy every day. Like, so that's
Mhm.
what you
No,
do.
you are the celebrity. You're absolutely right. We pay to see you. I actually went in August and
Uh-huh.
took my family, and we paid to go to Akershus, and
Oh,
we were like, "Stop eating, wait for the princess to come, take the picture, do the autograph." Like, that is
no.
absolutely what we did. So,
I
you're
would well,
right. Yeah, we paid
when
to
we
see
went
you.
during Christmas, I was so, like,
Mhm.
because you having been a character, when we went to that character dinner, you had all the books sitting there, and, like, you were like, "Boom, boom, 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 boom." And like, they did not waste a second at our table. It was
Yeah.
like, "Sign it, picture, sign it,
Mhm.
picture." Like, we were just,
And
but
it is very
because you'll
appreciated
normally,
to do that.
yeah, but when
Yes.
normally we walk up to
Mhm.
the meals, or like the tables, and
Mhm.
they're like, "Oh my god, I gotta get my books out of my purse. Hold on a second." And you're there
Yes.
for 20 minutes, and you can't do that because
You
then
can't do that
people are
because you get behind.
skipping. Yeah,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
our princess is backing up all over the place. You just can't
Did
because we
you
have. Go ahead.
Yes. So some of these pictures we're showing is like, you and me together, and that was because we were training together. And then
Mhm.
we just showed a picture of you and
Yes.
Mulan, but technically we're not supposed to be showing. Do you remember this rule? You're not supposed to have but one character per picture, I think is what
Well,
the rule was.
I just knew you weren't supposed to take pictures with people outside of your story. So
There you
that was the
go.
big.
Okay.
Like, that was the big deal. Am I gonna stand here and tell you I don't have pictures with Aladdin? Yes, I do. Like, in my costume. Or Prince Philip, yes, I do. Like, but
Right.
we did, weirdly, one night, I think it was during the Christmas parties or whatever, we had downtime.
Mhm.
Ariel's grotto was under construction, And
Oh,
we
okay.
all went over there and took pictures together, and, like, I have pictures of all the princes, and we're all standing
Oh,
there, like, because it was just a mess. They were,
well,
like,
that's cool. Yeah,
it was stuff that
construction.
you'll
Yeah,
never have. Yeah, it's just
yeah.
really neat.
Did you
So, yeah.
ever have like, you talked about doing private events and kind of the after hours and when companies would rent out the Magic Kingdom and that kind of
Yes.
thing. Did you ever have a celebrity encounter or anybody that was like, "Oh, we have to see snow, like, bring snow over here," that kind of thing?
We it wasn't any he didn't ask specifically, but we, kept having Joey came, like, a
Oh,
bunch
okay.
of times. He was always there. He was and weirdly, one night we were walking through the tunnel to go to parade, and he was just hanging out downstairs, like, just hanging out. And normally he was just in the VIP section upstairs, but we're all, like, getting dressed and walking out of costume. We're like, "What is he doing here?" Like, we were all just but he
Jo
just came
Joey Fatone sitting in the corner.
yeah, he was talking to everybody, and we were just like, "Oh," but he wasn't performing or anything, so it was a little different. We're like, "Oh, okay." Like, we
Okay.
just kinda kept
Okay.
going, like, it wasn't a big deal. So, it wasn't a big deal. But, I do remember one night, so during Christmas parade, they had brought us in, and I think it was for a Make-A-Wish family, I'm pretty sure. This is one of my, like,
Oh.
biggest accomplishment. Like, to me, like, it was a huge compliment or whatever. I don't know if you remember Victor. Victor has been with the company for a million years. He used to be the Santa Claus. Did you ever meet him?
Oh.
He
Yes, I
trained
know
with
who you're talking
us,
about.
like, he was at our training things or whatever.
Yep.
So we did, they pulled me and one of the other princesses, I don't remember who it was, probably Cindy, and then, Mr. and Mrs. Claus. And we were all sitting backstage in the room behind City Hall. They do all the special events and things like
Mhm.
that. And we
Mhm.
met the
Yeah.
family and we did all of that or whatever. And it was really it was just a sweet moment. It really, really was. And we went to
Oh.
go walk out, and Victor looked at me and he said, "I just have to tell you, every time I'm in a room with you, I feel like Snow White standing next to me." And I went,
Oh, that's so sweet.
coming from you, that is the biggest compliment because he is like Disney
Yeah.
royalty, like, to everybody. He's been there forever.
Wow.
And so it was
Like
so sweet. But it
Joanne.
was him. Yeah. But it was him and Joanne. Like, we had, like,
Mhm.
the 2, biggest of all
Yeah.
of our characters. It was just such a nice moment. And that was the one thing that because I did everything, like I told you, I was trained at everything is at Snow.
Mhm.
One thing I didn't get to do, and it kills me to this day, I didn't get to do Give Kids the World, the village. They never let me do it. Like, ever, because I
Yeah.
was always doing a special event somewhere, or I was off doing something, and that was the one thing I'm like, the one
Yeah.
thing I wanted to do.
That's
Because
such a special place.
yeah, everybody that came
Mhm.
back, they were just like, "This happened and that happened and this happened." But, like, if somebody had a wedding and they needed a princess there, guess who was going? Like, what I mean? I was there with
Did
Mickey
you
and Minnie. Like,
really?
yeah, like, over at Grand
Yeah.
Fall, like, they just pull us for stuff, and you're just like but they only pull certain people for that, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, the best Mickey, the
Gotcha.
best Minnie, it's one of
Mhm.
those situations
Yeah.
because they want the picture. They don't wanna mess somebody's wedding up,
Yes.
so they know what they need to
Right.
do,
Mhm.
and that's okay.
That makes a ton of sense.
That's an
So,
honor within
it's an honor within its in the company too. Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. So after you said goodbye and, like you said, you're okay with that. You're fine with that.
I was
I
really
know that
okay.
you went back to Vegas. You did a couple of other things, but one of the things you did was you were in a was it Miss Nevada? You were in Miss
Miss
Nevada?
Nevada. Yeah, I was Miss Nevada United Nations 2008, 2009. And so it was
Mhm.
a global, it's not the normal Miss Nevada pageant, it's a global.
Mhm.
So that's why
Okay.
it's Miss Nevada United Nations. That's why. That was the one and only
Oh,
pageant
okay.
that I will ever be in. I will never do that again. But the funniest thing with that,
Oh,
the former Miss Nevada from the year before, she said to me, because she was the one that presented me my crown and everything, my crown, my sash, everything else like that. And she goes, "This is going to be the coolest thing. We're going to be in the St. Patrick's Day parade on Fremont Street and be in like a parade and ride in a car." And I looked at her and I said,
you're like
"I did that every day of my life." Like, I just sat there and I was just like, but to me, like, I had my own float. Like, I don't
Mhm.
need to, it
Yes.
was
Yes.
weird. It's such an alternate universe.
You
It's
went
like
from, I mean, Disney bubble like you're talking about. You're
mhm,
literally Disney royalty when you're very good friends with
yes,
these characters.
yes.
And you're the celebrity. Absolutely. Oh, that's a picture of you and your mom. That's a great one.
Give me a mom,
Um
yeah.
so
We
that
spent
that
many
is really
hours with
sweet.
her. One
That's
more time?
no, I mean that's Wonderful memories,
Yes.
absolutely.
Oh
Very
yeah.
sweet and wonderful memories.
So
So
sweet.
what are you doing now? Where can people find you? What are you heading up now?
Okay, so my main passion is to design clothes and makeup and what have you. And so I started my own clothing company and it's called British Tokyo. And you can actually find us at britishtokyo.com or we're on Instagram at British Tokyo Clothing. So if you're bored and want to go find us and check out our stuff, go and give us a
No, their
follow.
shirts are great. Their shirts are great. Their shirts are
I
wonderful.
design
I
all
even
of
think
them. Yeah, I design
I
all of
think you
them. So
also have menswear, don't you?
I do. Yeah. Well, that's it. They're graphic tees right now, and I'm actually
Mhm.
getting into doing like a skincare line. That's what I want to do.
Oh,
So
awesome. Okay.
I'm kind of excited. But I love makeup, as you can see. Love it.
Well, you are, like you say, the fairest one of them all, and if you want to have the skin, the natural glow, like, just don't bite the apples.
Don't like
Maybe you should make one apple scented.
only the red ones. Yeah,
Also the
don't
red one.
the red ones.
Exactly. Well, Amy, I really appreciate you being here. I think you gave us a lot of information about what it's like, your princess diary, if you will, to be Disney royalty, you know?
It was so nice.
And honestly, we love Snow. She, like you said, she's the original. She is Walt Disney's, like, you know,
It was his
iconic
vision of what
what
a Disney, yeah, a
his
Disney
vision.
princess should be. It was his. That was
Absolutely.
why she was the first one. So that I'm
Absolutely.
okay with
I
that.
think
You know what I mean?
it is such an honor, and it's an honor. I'm so happy to be talking with you again, and you know, we have many memories over the years, but you know, one of the things that I've been talking with people about is that every person that talks about their time at Disney, they always remembered their friends. They always say they've made lifelong friends, and I'm happy to share
Yes.
that with you and consider you one of mine. So
20 years in, yeah, and we're still
crazy.
here.
That's crazy. Well, we appreciate everybody that's joined us tonight. We appreciate all the PAC members. If you would like to look at our other content, please like and subscribe this video and check out our other content on our Park Adventurers Club channel. So thank you so much to our PAC Adventurers. Go ahead.
But you have to do
What were
it.
you going to say?
You have to do it.
What?
Thank you so much for coming to see me, and I'll see you a little later. Bye-bye.
That's perfect. That's perfect. We'll end with that.
Bye.
Thank you guys for joining us. Good night.
Bye.